Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Noor and thank you so much for joining me in another video. It's really nice to see all of you guys again. I have read a lot of books this month. I am so proud of myself. So I shall share with you guys all of the books that I have read this month. So for this month I have read 8 books. Quite a lot. Quite a lot. Let's just get into my March TBR. Oh no, my March wrap up. So the first book that I finished for the month is To Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, and this is essentially a story about this boy who just got expelled from school, and his story of how he goes around after being expelled from school, and his stories on all of the people that he have met. What I like about this is that it's written in first-person narrative, so it's like him telling you his life story, and quite honestly it's nothing much. It's just about him talking about all these people that he meets and him sharing his thoughts on all these people that he meets, and he talks about how some people are pretentious and some people try so hard to fit into society, and he talks about how he is so sick of trying to fit in. Initially when I started reading this, halfway through I was wondering where would this story go. I really liked the whole story. I really like how it ended. I really like the protagonist in this book. He is very nonchalant, but at the same time he kind of speaks his thoughts and what he really feels in his mind. So I really enjoyed reading his story and just getting acquainted with the narrator. I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoy how J.D. Salinger writes, how J.D. Salinger portrays this narrator, and how the narrator has his own distinct voice. So I really like that, and hence I am going to be finding more of J.D. Salinger's books and reading more of his stuff. Following on, I went to finish The Alchemist by Paolo Coelho. If you guys have watched my videos, then you guys would know that The Alchemist is one of my favorite books. I did a video where I talk about how The Alchemist changed my life in terms of self-confidence. Yes, so I would link that video down below if you guys are interested in watching that. But essentially The Alchemist is a story about this shepherd who has reoccurring dreams of him finding a treasure, and he decided to pursue that dream to find that treasure, and along the way he meets all these other people. So this is the graphic novel form, and I have never read anything that is graphic novel, and I wanted to try a graphic novel, so I decided that this would be a good stepping stone for me to start on the graphic novels, since it's one of my favorite books. However, I wasn't really so keen in this book. I feel like The Alchemist itself as a story, there are a lot of scenes that builds up, and I think one of the beautiful things about The Alchemist is the atmosphere and the scene that is being set in the story, and basically the atmosphere plays a huge part in making the story memorable. However, when it comes to the graphic novel form, it's very hard to set the scene because it's in pictures. So it's very hard to imagine the scene setting and the atmosphere. I do love the whole artwork. It's really beautiful. As compared to the whole story, I feel like the book is so much better as compared to the graphic novel. Hence, it doesn't really have that effect on me as compared to the novel itself. I did enjoy this, I really do, but I feel like if you want to read The Alchemist, then you should read the novel itself. Nevertheless, I still enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the artwork, so I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. So for this month of March, as you know, I joined the Galaxy Universe book club, where this book club is being formed by 2 booktubers. One is Clara and one is Camille, and I would link that book club down below. For the month of March, the book for the book club is The Book Thief. Honestly, I love The Book Thief. It's so beautifully written. So basically, The Book Thief is about a story of this German girl named Liesel, and it is set in World War II Nazi Germany. Liesel has to go to this foster family because her mother couldn't take care of her, and she and her brother has to go there, but unfortunately her brother died during their trip to the foster family. She has this weird sort of habit. She likes to steal books, and one of the first books that she stole was The Gravedigger's Handbook that she found at her brother's gravesite. And so it begins the story of her life with this foster family and her love affair with books and her stealing books, and at the same time the story of how her foster family hid a Jewish man under the basement. Basically, this is really beautifully crafted. I love Markus Zuzak's writing. I have read I Am the Messenger from him, so I know how his writing style is like. I really enjoyed that quirky kind of writing. And when I went on into this book and found out that the narrator is death, it makes the whole premise a little bit more different. What I like about how Markus Zuzak portrayed Death is that Death is a pretty quirky guy. He's pretty witty, but at the same time he is grim. I love Liesel's character. She is very curious. She reminds me of Toto-chan. Her curiosity sometimes just gets the better of her. I gave this 5 out of 5. Really enjoyed it. Highly recommend. So following on, I went to finish up Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, and if you have not known, Franz Kafka is also one of my favorite authors. I have read the Metamorphosis a long time ago, but I haven't had a copy because the one that I read before was a library copy. So I was very happy to get my own. Essentially, Metamorphosis is a story about this guy named Gregor Samsa, and he is a traveling salesman. And one fine day, after a very bad nightmare, he woke up and he found himself turned into a bug, and because of that he could not go to work. That had affected his family because Gregor Samsa is the sole breadwinner and he has to go to work to support his family. It's just a story of how his family treat him after him turning into a bug. What is so interesting about Metamorphosis or any of Franz Kafka's books is that it's very closely related to his personal life. He has this unhealthy relationship with his father. So when you read Metamorphosis, you could see that underlying resemblance of his unhealthy relationship with his father. That is what I really like about his writing. Also because his writing is really dark, sort of gothic, and it made you think a lot because there are a lot of symbols in his writing, in his stories. It made you think about the whole symbol of him turning into a bug, and I think some people debated saying that the bug is actually his mental illness and how his family treated people with mental illness. I give this 5 out of 5 stars. There's also another story called The Judgement in this book. The Judgement is a very short story. I think it's about 10 pages long. What's interesting about it is that it's being written in one sitting. So I believe it's being written by Franz Kafka in a span of 8 hours. And it's about this story of this guy who wants to write a letter to his friend in Russia, and he was contemplating on whether or not he should write about his life, afraid that he might offend the friend at Russia. The Judgement was really short, so I don't want to spoil the story for you guys, but the story left me with so many question marks in my head. I do not know what was going on. I couldn't differentiate between what's real and what's not, and it made you again think a lot. That's what I like about Franz Kafka's writing. Whenever you finish a book, you kind of wonder what is going on. So for The Judgement, I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars. If you are interested in Franz Kafka, then Metamorphosis is one of the books that you should start with. I think it's a very good introduction to his writing style. After that, I went on to finish up The Lord of the Flies by William Golding, and this is a story of a group of boys being stranded in an island after their plane crash landed into this island. It's a story of how these boys had to survive and try to find food and shelter. So I've never read anything from William Golding. I've heard a lot of things about Lord of the Flies. I really like how William Golding describes the finest details in this book. It sets in an island, so there isn't a lot of things to describe in an island, but I like how William Golding really described the fine details. I really enjoyed the plot. It made you think a lot on children trying to survive and being responsible when all of their life they aren't. And basically when children are given the power to lead because of their maturity, they could not comprehend certain things and they could not make a clear, concise decision, which caused a lot more bad than good. It's really dark towards the end. I was kind of troubled when I read the ending, so I give this 4 out of 5 stars. At the beginning of the month, I started on the Casual Vacancy. It is a Mahusive book. It's really long, but I finished it in the 3rd week or so I am glad that I managed to finish it. I have done a book review on this, so I would link that down below and over here if you guys are interested in checking out that book review, which I really recommend you guys check that out. The Casual Vacancy is basically about this small town called Peckford, and in this small town there is a council called the Parish Council, and one fine day one of this council member called Barry Fairbrother passed away because of a brain aneurysm, and his death has caused the whole town to be shaken, to be shocked. And because of his death there is a casual vacancy, and basically when there is a casual vacancy, people could run for this election and town will vote for them so they could go into this council. It's very harsh and crude, and there are certain things that's being discussed in this book that is very matured. Essentially it's very political. It's about this politics in this very small town and about people doing things just to win an election, and it's about people's behavior and how people treat one another. Really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed J.K. Rowling's writing. I have never read anything from her, so I was very surprised that I really enjoyed The Casual Vacancy. Although the things that she writes can be a little crude and harsh, but I think that sarcasm makes the whole book a lot more dark and humorous and makes politics a little bit more comical, and I really appreciate that from this book. So I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. And after reading all of those sad, bitter books, I went on to read Sophie Kinsella's Confessions of a Shopaholic, and this is one that I am so excited to have and to read. So basically, Confessions of a Shopaholic, it's about this girl named Rebecca Bloomwood. She is a journalist working for this magazine called Successful Savings as a finance saving writer, but the ironic thing is that she is very spendthrift and she is a shopaholic, which causes her to have money problems like being in debt with the bank and having her Visa card rejected at the cashier counter. She is trying to deal with her shopping addiction and at the same time trying to make sure that she pays for her bills. This book is really witty and funny and comical. I truly enjoyed it. I really love Rebecca Bloomwood's character. She's so clumsy, but at the same time she's really honest towards other people, and she's really nice, and that's what I kind of get from her really nice warm vibe. I really love the whole characters in this book. They're all really funny and comical, and it's a truly good indulging book. So I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I truly enjoyed it. The last book that I read this month is Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer. Into the Wild is basically a story that is being written by Jon Krakauer about Chris McCandless. Basically, Chris McCandless is one young chap who decided to go into Alaska after his graduation. He donated all his money in his bank that his parents gave him to a charity, and he abandoned his car, and at the same time he burned whatever money he is left with, and he created a new sort of life for himself. Then he decided to go and trek into the Alaskan wilderness, and 4 months later his body was found by a hunter, decomposed. Jon Krakauer was the journalist who wrote about his story in this magazine called The Outside, and he went on to write a book about it because he wanted to find a lot more about Chris McCandless. He went on to interview the people that had possibly come across Chris McCandless just to get to know what is his story, why he decided to abandon his car and donate all the money to charity and go and trek into the Alaskan wilderness. Jon Krakauer tries to relate Chris McCandless to other stories that he has heard of, other people that has done the same thing, and she tries to compare the similarities between all of these people and whether or not they have that same family dynamics and the same thinking and how they perceive their life. And at the same time we learn a little bit more about Jon Krakauer and his McCandless life. I feel like whatever Chris McCandless does, you will never know why he does it. We could see the interview from his parents and the interview from the people that has came across or met him, the interview from his friends, and Chris McCandless have this very weird outlook in life. He is very determined. He is so involved in all the books that he reads, and one of the books that he is superbly obsessed with is The Call of the Wild by Jack London. So he kind of get that inspiration from all these characters in these books, and he is heavily acquainted with them. He kind of brings that character into his personality, into his life. When John Krakauer writes the magazine article about Chris McCandless' life, there are a lot of letter response given to him, and hence he decided to write this book. So it's a really great book, really insightful, informative, made me think a lot about my life, my family, and about daring to do something and at the same time not losing the people around me. I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. So these are all the books that I have read this month. A lot of good books. Yeah. So share with me at the comments down below what have you read this month. Also share with me at the comments down below if you have read any of these books and what you thought about them. Thumbs up my video if you really enjoyed watching this video, and subscribe to my channel if you want to watch more book related content from me. Other than that, I will see you guys in my next video. Chill out!